a week, I'm going to be heading back to school. Actually, the day I upload this video, I'm going to be only a few days away from my first day of school. Yes, I am not a middle school dropout, and I still go to school. However, with quarantine on top of summer, it's likely that your old systems from before the pandemic was a thing. Wait, what was that again? It's likely that your old system since before the pandemic was a thing is fading from memory. No worries, today I'm going to be sharing with you how you can build your own and giving you a sneak peek into my own organizational system. Having a good system to back you up when things get hectic, especially for students in college or high school, is essential and can help you get through the harder parts of your education. You don't have to use my exact system, and I don't expect you to, but feel free to take inspiration from it. So I divided my organizational system into 7 large areas. My file organization, my stationery, my planning tools, my books/textbooks, my device organization, my note-taking system, and my study tools. But before we jump into this video, don't forget to subscribe. According to YouTube statistics, only less than half of you guys are subscribed, so if you could just check if you're subscribed, that would be great. So I have a lot to share with you in this video, so let's jump right in. First, I'll be talking about my own organizational system, starting with my file organization. I don't know about you, but I don't really have that many paper handouts or assignments to keep track of in the physical world. So if I do happen to get a form or paper or whatever, I just stick it into this plastic folder. Every day when I get home from school, I'll go through my papers that I might have brought back that day and deal with them accordingly. I also have a handy little binder that serves to keep track of all my tests. I keep the binder organized by tabs, and within those tabs, my tests are ordered by the day I took them. At the end of the school year, I have final exams, and I use my past quizzes as practice sheets and review papers, and they help me study. Since I do get my fair share of quizzes and tests and such, I will empty this binder out at the end of the school year, or at least go through it and get rid of unnecessary papers. As I actually usually keep this binder at my school, but at the end of the day I'll take a peek at my spaced repetition spreadsheet and I will take home the relevant quizzes to help me study. I'll explain more about the spaced repetition spreadsheet later. In this cover. Next, I'll talk stationery, and I'll be straight brutal with you. I don't really care for the stationery. I don't care how pretty it looks. I don't care how aesthetic it is. I don't care whatever. As long as it's comfortable and it's functional, I don't really care. I mean, I can see why some people have lots of stationery. I mean, I know people who have lots of stationery, but personally, I don't. For one, you have to consider the inconveniences of carrying around a lot of stationery. One, it's gonna get heavy someday, and two, it's just a lot more stuff to wipe down at the end of the day. I mean, it's a pandemic now, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. In my black pencil pouch, I have one mechanical pencil, one black pen, 2 things of mechanical pencil lead, my idea capture journal, and 2 mini copies of my schedule. After that, we'll turn to my planning tools. I use a hybrid planning system. Hey, it's a little baby system within I have a physical planner that keeps track of my day-to-day tasks and also some of my more major events. And on iCalendar, I lay out my day-to-day plan, or rather, my minute-to-minute plan, should I say. In my planner, the left column is dedicated to my events for that day. And in the right column, I list out my tasks for that day with the bullet journal marking system thing. I also have a spreadsheet that manages my long-term planning, which, by the way, is a 12-week year technique that I've mentioned in my summer planning video. Link is in the cards. I've developed a weird obsession for data and spreadsheets and stuff, so Google Sheets is one of my favorite tools. On my 12-week year planning spreadsheet, I have a time tracker, a habit tracker, and a daily ranking system. I won't go too into detail about that because that's a topic for another day. I have been considering switching to an all-digital system recently, but I'm probably not going to because my teachers don't allow me to use my devices. They don't allow me to use my iPad in class that much, so I wouldn't be able to remember my tasks well enough to write them down. Next, I'll talk books and textbooks. Again, for sanitary reasons, I'm not going to go and bring my entire library to school. And so most of the time I keep my textbooks at school because most of the assignments that I get need a textbook to be completed can usually be done in school. And if I do have to do one of those assignments at home, I'll just take a picture of the assigned pages. As for bringing books to school, I usually just bring my Kindle because it's nice, small, compact, and I can download all the books that I need on it. As for textbooks, I don't really have that many textbooks. I'm pretty lucky. But considering the absence this year, I'm probably going to be getting digital textbooks as well. After that, we'll turn to device organization. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a computer that I can use most of the time along with my iPad. I use the computer for all of my phone work, which is basically YouTube work as well as program. I do have to edit videos on my iPad, so I do keep a couple of work-related apps on my iPad. So I like to keep my work apps all separate, so on my iPad I have 3 different pages of apps. The first page is dedicated to my school-related apps, which is basically apps that my school required to download and a few study tools. The second page is for my personal apps, which is basically a mess of coding apps, the mail app, and a few others. The last page is for my personal apps, which includes apps like settings, messages, and music. Since this isn't a what's on my iPad video, I'll gloss over my app list and move on to my file organization. I consider myself rather a neat freak, so I have my files organized in a tree structure, but it's relatively simple to understand. So I actually use both iCloud Drive and Google Drive for my files, although the systems managing it are slightly different. So in my iCloud Drive, I keep my personal files local. So this includes things like book notes and sheet music and coding files, etc. And then in my Google Drive, I actually have 2 accounts. One is my personal use account, in which I keep obviously my personal files. But what makes this different from my iCloud Drive is that I use it as a sort of archive for old files. So basically, if a file is a personal file and I'm not using it currently, but think I will use it later for reference or something, I will keep it there. And then I also have a school account, which is obviously for my school files. And then I usually give a concise but descriptive name and organize them within nested folders. So my titles are usually in the format of date, subject, and then topic. So I just basically slap a few keywords in the title, and if need be, I can search up the keywords and find the file pretty easily, although I am proud to say that my file organization system has not required me to use that feature just yet. Next, I'll be talking about everyone's favorite topic, note-taking. For my school notes, I've actually decided to switch over to an app called Slide. As you probably know, if you've been watching my channel for anything longer than 3 seconds, I've been using Apple Notes for a while now. But just recently, the lack of Markdown has started to bother me. So I've chosen Slide. If you didn't know, Markdown is just a shorthand way of formatting text, which is helpful for students trying to take notes quickly. The organization in Slide isn't the best out of the best. You can organize by channel and then by note, and you can nest notes indefinitely. But I'm willing to sacrifice some organizational features for the flexibility and convenience of Markdown. I would have chosen Bear, but there's 2 big problems with it. 1, you can't sync notes without a paid version. And 2, the organization is heavily lacking. I do still use Apple Notes, but it is reserved for my personal and work files. If you want to know how to take notes, I will link a video in the cards right now and also in the description below if you want to check it out. Last section of my organizational system, my study tools. So originally for flashcards, I used TinyCards, and it worked great. It had great organizational features, and it used spaced repetition, and overall had a pretty nice aesthetic to it. However, TinyCards is shutting down and will have shut down by the time I release this video. So sadly, I have to go look for another alternative. So originally I was going to use Anki, but Anki has such a steep learning curve, and as far as I know, cannot organize in the way that Brainscape can. So I'm going to be using Brainscape. Brainscape uses uses a different system from spaced repetition. It uses a system called confidence-based repetition. So basically, it asks you to rate how well you know with card, and it will present it to you next. It's different from spaced repetition, but works almost in the same way. So I'm fine with using it. Since I cannot use flashcards to study everything, another tool that I use is MindNote. It's a relatively simple mind mapping tool. I find mind mapping really helpful for studying things that can't be put into flashcards, especially in concept-heavy courses. I don't use mind mapping nearly as much as flashcards, but I do use it, so I keep that app on my iPad. The third study tool is actually a study tool that I built myself. Remember earlier I mentioned that I built a spaced repetition tracker? Well, I did. So basically it has a few columns. The first column is the topic name, and then you have first reviewed, and then 1 day, 2 days, etc. And so basically what you do is you put in the topic name in the first column, and then you put on the date you first learned it in the first review column, and then the spreadsheet will automatically calculate the days in which you should review it next according to spaced repetition standards. So every day when it comes time for my study block, I can just use the Finder tool in the Google Spreadsheets and search up the date, and it will bring up a list of the topics that I need to review for that day. This tool was surprisingly easy to build, and I will put a link of a copy in the description if you want to check it out. So this is my productivity system. You can take inspiration from it or copy it entirely, but you'll probably want to know how you can build your own productivity system next. There really isn't a secret to doing this, but I do have a few tips that you should keep in mind when you're designing your own productivity system. My first tip is to consider your environment when designing your productivity system. Now, I'm speaking general, not just for students. For example, I'm doing on-campus learning this year. Some people are doing hybrid learning. Some people are doing purely virtual classes. If you're doing purely virtual classes, then you can use an all-digital system if you wanted to. If you're doing on-campus learning and your school is like mine and doesn't allow you to use your devices as much, then opt for more physical study tools. If your parents are restricted, big fat 2-inch binder that was purely for my school notes, and then I had this separate notebook for my to-dos, and then I had this planner, and then I had 2 pencil cases full of stationery, and then I had a bunch of productivity apps. And then over time, I began to realize, oh hey, I don't need this tool, or hey, I don't need that. And over time, I managed to strip down my large, fat productivity system down to the bare bone essentials. What does your organizational system look like? Feel free to leave it in the comments below. I love reading comments, so definitely drop a comment, even if it's just to say hi. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe because it tells the YouTube algorithm that you like my videos, and it will push it out to more people so I can have a larger impact on this platform. Anyways, if you want to subscribe, you can always subscribe down below or smash your left thumb into the picture of my face on the screen right now. You can also click on 2 videos that are on end screen right now, or maybe you could turn off your device, whatever you're watching me on, and go do some work. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay productive.